for Africa. Samina, mina, waka, waka, samina, mina, sakalewa, anawa, samina, mina, waka, waka, samina, mina, sakalewa. It's time for Africa. I'm in on a journey, biggie, biggie, mama, from A to Z. My sister's on my journey, biggie, biggie, mama, from east to west. My tea, waka, waka, my waka, waka, my This is Amazibuye. This is Africa. Hey y'all, thank you so much for joining, whether Facebook Live or on Zoom directly. I see we've got quite a few participants on Facebook Live. My name is Kaitlyn Joshua. I'm with the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice and super excited to embark on this amendment teach-in with y'all today. First, we're gonna do some housekeeping and have our translators come on camera to explain how to choose the language of your choice if you would like to hear the presentation in a different language. And so Evelyn and our other two friends, if you all don't mind walking us through the process, we'll go ahead and do that now.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. If you look towards the bottom of your screen, there should be a globe icon, and if you select it, the audio options will appear. You can choose either the English or the Spanish channel, depending on your preferences. And also in Spanish, gracias a todos los que están aquí. Si miran hacia abajo de su pantalla, debería de haber un icono, una imagen de un globo terráqueo. Si lo seleccionan, ahí tendrán las opciones de los audio en inglés y también en español para que ustedes elijan el que prefieran. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give folks a moment to do this. While that is happening, do we have any other languages that need to be, that need us to walk through the process of being able to choose that? Or we have Spanish? Okay. Cool deal. Well, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Again, with the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice, we are a statewide civic engagement table. What that means is we engage folks of color year-round around advocacy and campaigns. We believe that people closest to the problems are closest to the solutions. Elected officials should be held accountable always, and everyone is entitled to fair and equitable elections. At this time, I'm going to introduce our partners, Louisiana Organization for Refugees and Immigrants, also known as LORI. Dauda and Marcella will tell us about the LORI organization before we get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited to partner with the Louisiana Power Coalition for Equity and Justice in order to bring this teachable event to you all. I am the president of the Louisiana Organization for Refugees and Immigrants, an organization that assists refugees and immigrants throughout their various stages of integrations. And we accomplish the mission using the 3 pillars, which is we encourage refugees to engage civically, and then as well as we empower them for them to be able to advocate for issues that impact them and their family. And we just don't stop there. We help them through their social integration, economic empowerment, and civic engagement. Those 3 pillars encompass everything that LORI does for the immigrant community. When we talk about social integration, that includes to what we are doing right now in this conference today, which is we become inclusive and get the language access into it. As we are doing it, make sure that every other immigrant or refugees in the city and the state, you don't have a barrier to information because of their language. So that is just one piece of the social integrations. And then also the economic empowerment is a win-win for all of us in the state of Louisiana or wherever you are. When refugee thrives, they give back to their community. They also help build and boost our economy and make sure we all live a fruitful life. It's a win. It's a win for the family. It's a win for the nation. It's a win for the state as well. Now, when we talk about civic engagement, and that's exactly what we are doing today, because one major thing is how we can hold our leaders accountable and how we can engage and know exactly what are the laws, what are the policies that are being passed, and what are amendments they are making into our constitution that's going to impact each and every one of us today. But in details, and we will have a time to talk about this more in details, but I'll just leave it there for now, and then I'll pass it back on to Kaitlyn.
Awesome. So let's get started, y'all. So we know on the ballot, our constitutional amendments, there are 3 this season, December 10th, since we just had 8 on November 8th. And we want to talk about where do we stand on the December runoff 2022 constitutional amendments. We know that the open general runoff election day is Saturday, December 10th. And I would be remiss if I did not say polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so please go cast your vote next Saturday, but also that we have 2 more opportunities this week. Today, polls are open till 6. And then again, tomorrow, polls are open to 6 for early voting. Let's talk about amendment number 1, which is the reason why we're on the call today. Do you support an amendment to provide that no person who is not a citizen of the United States shall be allowed to register and vote in this state? Just a quick overview about this. The Louisiana Constitution requires a person who is casting a ballot to be at least 18 years old and a citizen of Louisiana. Amendment 1 would add wording that would specify a voter needs to be both a citizen of the state and a citizen of the U.S. In the 1996, the U.S. Congress passed a law to stop non-citizens from voting in federal elections for propositions like U.S. House, U.S. Senate, and presidential. This law, however, doesn't address local or state elections. The proposed amendment would stop even local segments of government in Louisiana from allowing non-citizens to vote. We think it's important to note some municipalities in other states have allowed non-U.S. citizens to vote in their local elections. There are barriers that stop non-U.S. citizens from lawfully becoming a citizen of the U.S. Non-citizens often don't receive the education or support needed to actually become a U.S. citizen. We don't agree with the discriminatory policies that stop people from being able to use their voice. Non-citizens contribute a lot to our society and they have power. They are just as blocked from using it by this measure. So we do know that a yes vote would establish a statewide ban of people who aren't U.S. citizens from registering to vote or casting ballots in Louisiana elections. A no vote would keep the language in our state constitution the same. At the local level, cities and towns can vote on their propositions that allow them to operate in the interest of the people. And at the Power Coalition, and of course at Lori, we believe in local control. There are barriers that stop new U.S. citizens from lawfully becoming citizens of the U.S., as we discussed, and they don't often receive the education support to actually become a U.S. citizen. Again, we don't agree with the discriminatory process. We want to stand as allies of our immigrant community in the state of Louisiana, and most importantly, in Baton Rouge. I want to kind of go into detail around where this comes from and like the historical context from Amendment 1 as it relates to non-citizens and that discriminatory practices. We know that, just to give it a history, non-citizens are prohibited from voting in federal elections, but false claims are basically saying that illegally folks are being able to participate. No state has allowed non-citizens to vote in state elections either, but then again, there's this narrative that demonizes immigrants in our community and making it more difficult for people of color to vote. But historians are citing a long history of non-citizens voting in U.S. elections. Voting rights advocates worry the few modern efforts by cities such as DC, New York, and San Francisco to give non-citizens a say in local elections is being amplified by other lawmakers to suppress voting rights and spread conspiracy theories. While millions of legal immigrants pay taxes and contribute to their communities for years, there are significant barriers to obtaining that full citizenship. But 15 municipalities across the country have passed laws that allow non-U.S. citizens to vote in local elections. And again, we have those provisions in the state of Louisiana. Should a municipality on the local level decide that a non-U.S. citizen can participate in a local election, they should be allowed to do so. And right now, that provision still exists. As of January 2022, 11 areas located in Maryland, 2 in Vermont, 1 in New York, and the other San Francisco. For instance, San Francisco made provisions to kind of just reiterate what's on the books and not amend their state constitutions. Let's talk about what we're seeing right now in this moment, which is a sweeping attack on the immigrant community. And we're seeing this across South United States. In the past 4 years alone, 5 states, Alabama, Colorado, Florida, Ohio, and in the North and North Dakota, have amended their constitutions to say only instead of every citizen can vote. In Louisiana, we're going to decide on December 10th if our state constitution should be amended to ensure only citizens can vote. These amendments came as part of a national push to end non-citizen voting by 2 organizations supporting ballot measures across the country to amend state constitutions to say only citizens can vote. We know just recent history in 2016, voters in San Fran and in several other places approved a resolution that allowed non-citizens to vote in school board elections, which again, students of the immigrant community are attending our schools and should benefit from being able to have representation, right? But the resolution was struck down in July by a judge after conservative groups sued, arguing it violated California's state constitution. Let's vote this down on December 10th and make sure that Louisiana is not added to that list of states that are deciding to have a full-on attack on the immigrant community. I'm now going to turn over to Dauda and Marcella of Lori to talk about the impacts or implications of this particular bill should it be passed on December 10th.
Marcella, you want to chime in and I'll go after you. Wait.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for participating in today's conversation. One thing that we need to all know is that our opinion also matters. We contribute greatly to our cities, to our society. We are hardworking individuals, hardworking scholars, students, and we contribute greatly to our cities. So I would like for you to consider voting no for anything that will impact us, creating an opinion and giving an opinion to matters that also affect us. One of the things that Kaitlyn mentioned about the history, we know that our state can change, and I know that the narrative around immigration and immigration policies can change. We know that the city is ready for that, and our communities want to embrace us as immigrants. So we really want to ask you to think about it, to come to the polls, to vote no, and to take in consideration not only the contributions that we do, but the fact that we're humans and the fact that our opinion also matters. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Marcella. And to add to that, definitely just look at the photos and take away the numbers for a second and take a deep breath and think about this amendment. Those that are impacted. It impacts every citizen of the state of Louisiana, especially the immigrant family. Because if they start putting barriers and start holding our voices not to express the power that we have, which is the power to vote. We have our refugees and immigrant family because of, Kaitlyn rightly mentioned, because of language barrier, which is have to learn English and then also pass the English test in order for you to become a citizen. Those individuals never attend school, even in their own native language, but they've been a contributor to our city. They've been a contributor to our states. They are voice matters. They are vote matters, especially when it comes to local elections, because we have our children in the schools. It has a lot to do as well with the health, good roads. We all can contribute. like the Louisiana gumbo that Adeja always mentioned. Look how delicious the gumbo is. But it takes different piece of ingredient to make it taste good. But just imagine if you take one major piece of that ingredient into that from that gumbo, it's not gonna taste the same again. So please get to that poll and vote no on Amendment 1 because it touches us. If they're attacking certain group, which is now the immigrants, who else they coming for? So we have to stop discrimination at every level. Every level, we have to stop discrimination. So with that being said, I will pass it back on to my colleague, Kaitlyn.
Thank you, Dauda and Marcella. So at this time, we are going to discuss another local millage or measure that is going to have a direct impact on our community. And we are going to introduce Linda Franks to discuss the sheriff's millage, which has been a hot topic in our conversations with Lori over the last few years. And so Linda, if you'd like to go ahead and get us started.
Good afternoon, and I first want to thank the Power Coalition and Lori for inviting me on behalf of the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison Reform Coalition to come in to educate our community about the millage tax. On December the 10th, the East Baton Rouge Parish will vote on whether to renew a 10-year millage property tax that accounts for approximately 1/3 of East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office budget. So let's put that into perspective. The East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office collects 3 millages for its own office, a 6.9, a 3.73, and a 4.36. Back in 2020, the 3.73 was renewed, and it does not expire until December the 31st of 2030. So we're going to be asked to vote on the 6.9 millage, which will expire on December the 31st of 2023. The 4.36 millage does not expire at all. So voters in Louisiana are often asked to approve additional property taxes to raise money for specified objectives. And that is included in the ballot language and therefore is legally binding. For example, earlier this year, Jefferson Parish actually approved a millage specifically to fill 250 vacant positions in the Sheriff's Department and to fund 25% of the staff raises. But unlike other property taxes dedicated to fund parish-wide departments across the state, the residents in East Baton Rouge are being asked to vote on a parish-wide law enforcement district 6.9 mil renewal with no guarantee or explanation as to how this money will be spent. Now, there have been government accountability watchdog organizations like the Public Affairs Research Council of Louisiana and the Bureau of Governmental Research in New Orleans have, extensively written about the problems that arise when our tax dedications are established with little planning and accountability. What we do know that in the past, this Sheriff's Department has used those millages to fund things such as drones, such as police cruisers, while neglecting the health and safety of those who are detained in the East Baton Rouge Parish, as well as those monies can also go towards being dedicated to more community needed programs such as, the educational programs as well in our communities. And so we want to encourage you to get more information about how these millages are being used and to really hold our elected officials accountable for how they are being stewards over our tax dollars. We went earlier this year in June to ask the sheriff exactly what these property taxes and what this budget would be used for. And we were met with obfuscation, as well as they just not have been very transparent about where these dollars are going. So we want to encourage our electorate to go out and vote December the 10th. This has overarching and overreaching implications into all of the citizens of Baton Rouge. And we should definitely not be writing a blank check for our elected officials to use without having some accountability of where that money is going. And I just want to thank you guys again for allowing us to come on and to speak about this. If you want more information about the millage, you can go to our website at www.eastbatonrougeparishprisonreformcoalition.com. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn, and thank you so much, Lori, for all the work that you're doing in our community. We stand in solidarity with you on all that you are promoting, and we'll be doing everything that we can to make sure that these initiatives go the way that we want them to go. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. And Linda, before you go, just to reiterate, you want us to vote what on this one? You're encouraging folks to vote what?
A big fat no.
Got it.
On the millage.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, y'all. So we've got some next steps for folks as we're starting to close our program here. Marcel and I are going to tell you how you can stay engaged and then most importantly, get your friends to the polls. So the first thing we're going to ask of you is obviously vote no on Amendment 1, vote no on the sheriff's millage for East Baton Rouge Parish, and then tell 5 friends right after this call. Just call your friends, shoot them a text message. Hey, I went to this amendment teach-in. It was really impactful. If it was impactful for you, and I hope it was. And we would like for you, and we're encouraging all of our members of our community to vote no on these 2 specific measures. Marcella, do you want to tell our friends what is the final and last thing they can do to plug in before this election cycle ends?
Sure. Thank you, Kaitlyn. So all I want to say is that if you don't go out and vote, if you don't tell your friends, if you don't tell your family, someone will vote for you and someone will make that decision. So let's get our people together. Let's get our family together. Let's teach them and educate every single person we know. We have flyers. We have tons of information that you can share with your family and friends. And let's take this very seriously because as Dauda mentioned before, we are not talking about numbers. We are talking about human beings that our opinions matter. Human beings that are going to schools, human beings that are working, human beings that have families and that also deserve a happy and successful life. So that's my last ask. Let's share, educate, and even for those who are not able to go and vote, maybe they can contribute to this campaign in different ways, sharing with other people, talking to neighbors, talking to other friends. There's amazing ways that you can always contribute to voting, even if you don't do it. So let's just spread the word, and thank you so much for your support.
Awesome. And so we're going to get y'all out of here, folks. Just want to reiterate, no on Amendment 1, no on Sheriff's Millage. There are a myriad of ways, as Marcella stated, for folks to be able to plug in. We do have Texting Tuesdays that'll happen this coming Tuesday as our final and last before the December 10th election. In addition to that, if folks need rides to the polls, which is still very much a thing in our community, y'all, transit is not a guarantee for all. And so in New Orleans, Caddo Parish, Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, and beyond, we do have a phone number on our website and of course on our flyer and social media. If you need a ride, call ahead of time and we'll get you squared away. Again, I would be remiss if I didn't remind folks, December 10th is that runoff election. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. But then again, of course, you could make it easy for yourself and early vote right now. Polls are open till 6 p.m. tonight, and then again tomorrow, 6 p.m. And then that will be the last day for early voting. This recording will be available on our website as well as Facebook and our other social media platforms, in addition to Lori's social media platforms. So be sure to send this, share, like, and let's get this out to the public. Thanks so much for everyone for joining today. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you, Kaitlyn, and thank you to everyone. We share the same. We'll see you all soon. And for more information you want to learn about Lori's, visit our website, mylori.org. mylori.org. And you need help to get to the poll, as Kaitlyn said, just reach out to us as well, 225-239-7819, and then we will connect you how you can get this help to get back to the vote. Votes, votes, votes. Vote, vote, vote. The power of one. If you're able to talk to one person and take to the vote, let's make that power of one and get it done for our city and our state and our community and for our family. Thank you all. See you at the poll.